All right, so moving on now, continuing, now we're going to start modeling the actual shape of the camera. Now there's a couple things that we need to keep in mind, okay? What details are we going to model in? What details are we going to texture, right? This light doesn't protrude out, so that's just texture. I could probably get away with just texturing these circles in too. May want to extrude out this front because it's where this lip here, it actually extrudes out a little bit more. It's got some nice 3D feel to it, so we might want to do that. And then we have the shape of the camera. So we do need to add in some edges, but we're going to have a circular extrusion here. So question would be, when planning out our edges, we need to look at how do you make a circle, right, from a square. So at the very least, you need 4 squares, right? Because we can take 4 squares, we can inset them. Then you can scale the middle inset in till you get a circle, right? So just as a recap, how do you do that? Select these 4 squares. You do your inset, right? Then you can go to your scale tool, kind of make it as square as you'd like, right? Then you can switch to points mode, and you can literally just scale these out. And there you have your circle, right? So we are going to need that here, so we only need 4 polygons to make that circle. So we're going to need 4 around this area to make that circle. So we'll go ahead and start by selecting our actual camera here. Turn this into an editable poly. Grab our edge mode. Now we want to make sure we select all 4 edges. So it's easiest if you drag select. Should always practice drag selecting. You can do that in our front view or in perspective, but front view is more accurate. We're going to do our connect. So we need at least 1 that's going to be in the middle. We need 2 that are going to be on the outside of this silver circle here. And then also where we're going to have our extrusion, we'll need another 2. So that's 5 total, so we can do that. We can just double click each edge and move them over to kind of line them up approximately where they would go. You can control double click these ones, and we're just going to kind of guesstimate because the picture's doesn't have perfect perspective, but it works. All right, so now we need our cuts across. So you could use quick slice, which works really well, but we haven't shaped our camera, so we need at least 1 in the middle of our lens here. Right, that gives us, so now we'll almost have the geometry we need. We're going to need another connect right about there, and then we'll put another one just about right there. Alright, so now we got kind of our basic geometry for this shape. We could tweak some of this by like taking these points, kind of lining them up. It's got to be a rough curve, but we'll finesse this a little bit later. So whenever you're modeling, you always block out the simple shapes first and kind of plan out what you're modeling. So the next step is to get the actual shape of this camera. So we can go ahead and start moving some of these points up to where they approximately would be. So I'm going just above where the highlight is. You can also go ahead and move this over to where it would be. Looks like I might have been a little bit off on this edge. So, and we'll go with that. All right. So we'll be coming back to these anyway. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to drag select to select all these polygons. It'll look kind of weird. It'll glitch. We don't want the top or bottom polygons, so I alt drag to deselect those. So that way we have front and back, at least for the insetting, because we want it inset on the back too to create the curve. So inset it in, get this nice shape. Now this will make it easier where we could kind of pull in some points a little bit for the curve. So you could move these up a bit. So we have this nice line down here, which is already starting to get us a little bit more geometry here. So let's go ahead and do one right up the middle. Do connect. And that'll kind of help us to put these points. Now you want to have nice geometry so we can kind of still try to maintain squares where we can, right? So we do the same thing over here. Whoops. And we also need one across. Now if you want to do a nice straight cut along, right, remember to be in edge mode, and you can do the slice plane. If it's rotated, just turn on rotate snapping and rotate it till it's flat, the gizmo's flat. You can bring it up and slice. Go back to our points mode, right, and then we can manipulate these to create the round edges. I'll give you guys a second to catch up on that, and then we'll continue forward. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and start moving these points around to actually shape it to the box.